I'm Sarah Neff. I'm the Vice President of Sustainability for Kilroy Realty Corporation.
And I'm Danielle Horton, founder and principal of Verdani Partners, former head of sustainability for Thomas Properties Group, and now continuing to support the organization as a consultant.
All right, thank you. So you guys are here at Greenbuild, presenting tomorrow on pitching efficiency technologies to building owners. Why don't you tell me about your experience in working on the projects and building efficiency?
Well, both Danielle and I, we're responsible for improving the energy usage of our buildings, and one of the best ways to do that is to partner with vendors who have expertise and technologies that help buildings do that. And as a result, Danielle and I hear a lot of pitches related to energy efficiency and water efficiency and waste. And one of the things we're seeing is that the same sort of mistakes and misunderstandings keep being made over and over and over again by a bunch of vendors across many spectrum, and we were just seeing a real disconnect between their understanding of our procurement processes and hiring and engagement and what we're actually able to do and accomplish. And so one of the things we wanted to talk about was sort of what those gaps are, and maybe we can work together to come up with solutions to solve a lot of those problems, because they're tough. We're tough to pitch to. So.
Right. So a couple of building owners got together, and we're just discussing the common pitfalls that vendors make when making the pitch. And a lot of the problems, they have a great technology, but the way they present it, it's really hard for you to say yes to that technology. So we're focusing on just an understanding of just the common things we're dealing with, like ownership structure, budget cycles, just the type of ways we like to be presented, like the return on investment, and just the things that we deal with on a day-to-day basis, just how it works with real estate, and just having a better understanding on that, they would be able to make better pitches, because sometimes they have a great technology, but just the way that's packaged and presented, it's a way that you just can't move forward with. And the other thing we're addressing also is value beyond cost savings. So it's just really addressing the way it's not just the financing of it, but just like the whole set of benefits that you can get, but just packaging that, but understanding the owner you're pitching to, but also the whole set of things that you're dealing with.
A good example is ownership structure. So it's just not always the case that because you own a building, you have any control over that building's energy use. Sometimes the leases are called what's called triple net, where the tenants are paying that energy bill directly. And we legally have no mechanism in leasing or otherwise to influence how that energy is used. Vendors pitch to me all the time, and when I have a triple net building, we're working on greening our leases so that those mechanisms become possible. But right now, they would just have to be pitching to the tenant directly. That happens a lot. Or a technology that only makes sense based on a tax rebate. I work for a real estate investment trust which has no tax appetite. Stuff like this, procurement, how long it takes to get a contract signed, insurance, these are the kind of things that really bog us down as owners and really just keep the process from going forward, which is really unfortunate. I mean, our assumption when we went into, creating our panel was that the technologies work. It's not a matter of that verification. It's a matter of how do we get an actual deployment going.
So now that you've identified some of these gaps, some of these misunderstandings, some of these issues such as tenant issues or tax issues, what is the first step now? What do you say, maybe you don't have all the solutions, but perhaps what is the next way or a different way we can go about it?
Right. I think that having this dialogue is a great start. Sarah wrote an article about it. We have this panel. It's going to be recorded by Greenbuild so people can watch it later. But we also are creating a Pitch Green Twitter feed, and we hope that to have a lot of discussions, because there's a lot of vendors and owners that are also the experts on this, and we want that to be a repository of information about discussions and just start a dialogue about it, how we can create better pitches so that we want these technologies at our building. So by both sides having a better understanding of the constraints we face on the owner side, but then hopefully we can move forward with implementing some of these technologies faster. So remember, use the Twitter feed, Pitch Green, and we would love to hear your ideas about it.
I agree. I mean, I think the first step is just getting a better understanding of ownership structure. I think to me the best vendors are those who come in not with, where I just sit there for 50 minutes listening to a pitch, but who ask me questions. who are the decision makers? What's your process? Are you on a calendar year for your budget cycle, or is it a, is it a Q1 to Q1 thing? Who makes the decisions here? What do they find important? I mean, that's what we're sort of hoping that this panel will create, is an understanding of, okay, here are the questions I should be asking before I start talking about my fantastic technology. Because often the technology is fantastic, but it's dead on arrival because it's just not structured in a way that we can say yes to.
So I have one last question on your abstract for the presentation. There was a reference to free beer versus free kitten. Would you like to elaborate?
Sure. This is sort of my favorite metaphor for what we see all the time in terms of pitches. Every vendor wants to come in and do a free pilot in one of our buildings. And that's a great idea because capital budget cycles being what they are, it's really difficult to do an unbudgeted, unproven project in your building. It doesn't say I haven't done it, but it's really, really hard. And so the best thing to do is to have a free pilot, and then you see that it works, and the next year you include it in your capital budget. That's the goal. But the problem is there's a big difference between a free beer and a free kitten. There's a lot of hidden costs with a free kitten, obviously, so much less so with a free beer. And so we see a lot more kittens than we do beers. And I think the hope with this panel is not to so much move technologies more into the free beer category, although that would be great, but it's, I think, understanding for a vendor what makes them more kittens than beers, and so at least there's an explicit understanding of those issues. I think a really good example is education costs. Okay, it's a free pilot, but it's a software, and the engineers have to learn how to use it. Well, that takes hours of training. These are busy guys, and they're kind of skeptical of new technology. Another thing that makes a free pilot not free is just the amount of work we have to do to set up a new vendor in our legal structure. We have to go through contract negotiations. Your insurance has to pass risk management. Procurement. So if I'm buying something and it's over a certain cash threshold, I actually have to bid that out to 3 other competitive vendors. That takes a lot of time for me. So even if I really like your technology, it's a lot of work to try to do that engagement. And I think vendors think, oh, well, it's free. You're not paying for it up front, but that's only a tiny fraction of the actual cost to us. I'm hoping that those kind of gaps in understanding, so we have nothing against kittens, but I think the idea is let's learn a little bit more about what makes those things more kittens than beers.
So any final advice to vendors that want to sell this great technology, we all have an end goal that is similar. Any final advice?
I'd say just really have an understanding of all the things we're dealing with, understand the owner you're pitching to. Typically, you like to, at least from my experience, owners like to self-finance things. So when you're involving a lot of third party, like when you're making things more complex, it'll be harder to get it through. Yeah. Minimize the risk. I also think it's very important to look at the whole package and value beyond cost savings. Just a quick example is just certain software should be seen as not like as an investment, not a cost. And you should look at all the other benefits that you're getting from it. So sometimes if you're pitching just payback alone, it's just really not the right way to go about it. So I think understanding value beyond cost savings, full stream of benefits that you get from that technology, it's critical.
And to me, it's understanding that more people than just, for example, me would have to sign off on a technology for it to work. It's me, it's the vice president of engineering, it's the senior vice president of asset management, it could be the building chief, the COO, the CFO, and we all care about very different things. And when you pitch to us and you want a successful pitch, you need an arsenal of financial metrics, energy metrics, other sustainability goals, and those things need to be aligned for all of us because we all care about different things. The COO and the CFO is going to care about different financial metrics than the asset manager is, because the asset manager will recover that investment over the payback period, and so they only care about simple ROI, but yet the CFO might be really more interested in NPV. And you have to sort of understand both. Me, the sustainability person, I just care about energy. I want to know what the kilowatt hour savings are going to be. The VP of engineering really cares about equipment and maintenance and those kind of things. And I think anybody who's going to have a successful pitch knows that there's many audiences even at a single customer and is able to talk to all of them. I think that's really the best way to get started.
And remember, pitch green.
Yes, pitch green.
Let's have a dialogue about it.
Absolutely.
We
really
want to learn
look
from you too. Yeah.
Yeah, we really look forward to it, and we hope to see a lot of better pitches in the future.